This is Rob Tebbutt for Boxing Social in association with Betfred. Delighted, as always, to be joined by Dave Coldwell. He's out of a bubble, finally, following Hopey Price's win over Johnny Phillips. How are you, Dave?
I'm all right. I'm out of one bubble, but I think I've got into my own bubble because my family's still away. They don't get back until tomorrow, so I'm on my own. My dog's got back today. He's just got back about half an hour ago, so there's just me and the dog, and that's it. So I'm kind of missing the bubble and missing stuff going on.
I expect to hear from your dog at some point in this interview. He usually pipes up.
Yeah, no doubt.
So this is obviously the second week in a row that you've been into the bubble. Talk to us a little bit about it. What was it like, the overall experience for you?
Do you know what? Before I went, I was dreading having 2 weeks in that bubble. I can't think of anything worse. And yeah, I wasn't looking forward to it at all. But it turned out it was quite good, actually. It was all right. The second week was much better. There was a lot more going off, a lot more football, and also little things. Oh, that's actually the wife ringing. Also little things like they put in the diary room, which is a bit of a giggle. The bubble trouble stuff shows that we were doing. It was good. It was a good crack. And it was a lot easier to handle than what I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, it's interesting you would say that, because when I asked that, I mean, obviously I knew that the second week had been a bit busier than the first, but I also know that you're not one for, how should I put it? You like to be stimulated during a fight week. You like things to do. So that's good. I'm glad that happened. Let's talk about Hopey Price this past weekend against Johnny Phillips. First off, saw you lose your call at the weigh-in. Not something I'm accustomed to seeing. Tell us about that and your beef with Johnny Phillips.
This way you guys are saying I lost my cool. You know, if you speak up about something, that's not losing your cool. Losing the cool is if you're like ranting and raving and going on one. I was just pointing out facts, basically. You know, a fight's made at a certain weight, and if somebody doesn't come in at a certain weight and they're not even looking at trying to make it, then you speak up. That's my job as a manager and a trainer. You know, it's what any manager and trainer does. You know, if the opponent comes in over a certain weight and you're not happy about it, then you speak about it. There's no losing your cool about it. You want to see it if I do lose my cool. If you think that's what it was. I think it's just been blown out of all proportion.
Hopey didn't seem to mind too much. He seemed to be. I mean,
no.
I said that you lost your call, slightly tongue in cheek, Dave, but I do appreciate your riposte and you shooting it down. That's fine. Hopey seemed.
No. Do you know what it is? It's just on other things. You see it on these, you know, like with the headlines on videos and stuff like that, and going, you know, Coldwell goes on rant and stuff like that. Not really a rant. It's just like stating facts.
Well, thanks for clearing that up. Do appreciate that. Hopey Price seemed very, very cool, though, while it was all kind of happening around him, which is a good sign, I'd imagine, as a trainer and a manager, seeing that kind of going off. I mean, it's not a usual fight week anyway, but it's never ideal when your opponent comes in overweight. But he seemed okay with it.
Yeah, he wasn't bothered at all. I mean, he wasn't bothered in the build-up when I told him, you know, it was either Johnny Phillips took the fight or we'd have to fight Brett Fido. That was all that was left. And he wanted Johnny Phillips, although obviously he's going to learn a lot off the fighting Brett. As far as records are concerned, now people are going to be looking at the fight. He much preferred having a fight where somebody would come to try and take his head off and giving it all that. He enjoyed all that. But away from what we're seeing at the weigh-in and things, we was having a laugh about it. You know, we were just getting off his own preps and just. You know, we don't sit there in a hotel room just thinking about the fight constantly. In 24/7 saying, "Oh, you've got to do this, you've got to do this." We do it every day in the gym. You know, it's like we prepare. If you prepare right, then really, fight week is just about getting through it and just, you know, just being relaxed, getting about your own business, and just when the time comes, when we get into the changing rooms, and when I start banging your hands up, that's when focus comes in and right, okay, now we're on it. But we don't, you know, Hopi, Jordan, or whatever, we're not sat there all fight week constantly thinking about what we're going to do in the fight, because it's like you've done the work. It's just, you're just dealing with the situations that arise, and literally just especially when you're away, just counting, burning up time to pass the day on. So when things like that happen, it's quite good because it makes the time go quicker. When there's all drama and everything going on, whether it's drama about yourself or drama with everybody else, some people it affects. Some people get all touchy and irritated and then go away, and they're sat there screwing and fuming, and the fighter feels that energy and they're sat there, tense and stressing. And some people can have a blazing row, turn around and just carry on cool as normal, And I'm one of those sort of people, and I certainly don't, it doesn't affect the fighters, because I'm not sat there moaning and bitching around my fighters. It's just we have a bit of a giggle about it and just get on with it, That's part of boxing. It's part of what we expect. We actually expected it, to be honest. We did think that they would, because he's naturally bigger, he's boxed heavier weight and things like that. We did half expect, kind of like, I bet he, that's why I was adamant with Ross. I said, look, when I was making the fight, I ain't got a problem with the fight as long as he does come in at 9-2. But obviously he didn't. If I was wanting to follow up the letter of the law, then I'd have said you lose 1.5 pounds. But I didn't. I said lose 6 ounces. Just make an effort. Coming at 9-3, it's not a problem. Make the effort. If you're coming overweight, or get off the scales and say, mate, I'm sorry. I tried to make the weight, but I couldn't do it. It's like, all right, yeah, because I've done it, because I've done it at shows before. I've done it with my, when I was promoting. You do that when somebody's coming in. But when you say, oh, what excuses you got now? Blah blah. No excuses. Well, all I said, all my reaction was, what excuses? You haven't made the weight. It's just is what it is. It's blown out of all proportion, and if people want to hold that against someone, then fair dues. So be it.
Let's talk about the fight itself. As you mentioned, Johnny Phillips, naturally bigger man, aggressive fighter, never an easy night's work for anybody. How pleased were you with how Hopi handled him?
Over the moon. He did exactly what I asked him to do. Exactly what the things that were worked on in the gym, worked on in sparring. He just went out there and did it. For the second week running, my fighters have gone out and done the exact thing that I've asked them to do. Prior to the fight and during the fight, and then during the minute rest when we speak. And that, as a coach, for me, is very, very satisfying, because all the work that we put in as coaches, to see it just happen in front of you under the stress and strains of fight night, is what we live for. It's what we do. It's why we do it. He showed a lot of maturity, and Johnny was perfect. He was perfect. I loved his character. I loved the fact that he brings it. He puts, he tries to put it on you mentally, then he tries and put it on you physically. He is a great. He's a proper, for me, a proper professional fighter. People tend to say some of the fighters lost a couple of fights, so he's a journeyman. No, he's a fuck. For me, journeyman just turn up and just go through the motions and just think about the payday next week, get through that safe, and then fight. A professional fighter is somebody that goes in there and tries to win. He might not win all the time, but he goes in there and tries to win. He asks questions of you. Right from round one, come flying out there, rough, tough, using his physicality, trying to push Hopi about, get on the inside, rough him about, stick his head in position, all that kind of thing. That asks questions of a young kid. And a lot of young kids, with the build-up and things like that, would have maybe started trying to fight fire with fire and being wild and especially a tall, rangy kid, bringing his arms out and trying to swing away with him, where Johnny can then come straight through the middle. But he didn't do that. He just did what he's been doing in sparring and what I've been trying to teach him in sparring. And so I'm over the moon with him.
You mentioned kind of Hopi's long levers. He's obviously the tall, rangy, long southpaw. But when Johnny Phillips was able to get on the inside, as you mentioned, there was no panic. He'd kind of match him in there at times, but also spin off. How rewarding is that to see that such an early stage of his career, and also in his physical development, not being bullied on the inside?
So all that it's not by accident. It's not something that surprised me. It's something that we've been working on. It's the reason why I've been having him spar with Kid Galahad. It's the reason why when he spars with Jordan will be slick, smart, and then moving in on the inside, stop trying to bully him and rough him up and things like that. He's learning these tricks off of these fighters. It's a reason why I have him sparring with Lee Wood, who's a physical, strong, heavy-handed, very, very strong fighter who can punch off different angles. You don't know when he's going to fire. I'm having him spar with guys like that because I want him to learn about the physical side of things. He boxes as a junior. He's only just 20 years old. He doesn't look very strong when you look at him. But he doesn't have to be as strong as you. He just has to understand how to manage you when you get into physical spots. But his strength's developing, and it's going to develop. And when he gets his man strength and it comes out of that boy mode into a man, then he'll be an absolute beast. But the most important thing is I'm not obsessed about his strength. I'm obsessed about his skills and his boxing brain, and knowing how to manage certain moments when you are uncomfortable, and manage certain moments when somebody is being physical with you. Just manage it without being worn out, without being dragged into a dogfight, and without taking too much punishment. Just manage it, and then get back to what you were doing when you get those spots. But as you saw in the fight, he can fight on the inside. The little body shots that he's throwing, and he's only going to get better. And because of that experience of fighting Johnny Phillips, it's perfect. And again, all respect in world to Johnny. He's knocked out somebody a lot bigger at light welterweight. He's fought Stephen Smith up at lightweight, gone the distance. He's boxed at a good level. And this is a kid that's in his third fight. He's facing something like that. And then also, not just the physical side of things when the bell goes, the mental side of things, Johnny giving it all that and, telling, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. You're just a boy, bar. And he's completely just like he is every single day of his life in the gym. He's just mentally just having a laugh about it and just being, I don't have to speak about it. I don't have to say I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. Well, he'll find out on Saturday. He'll find out on Friday. He'll find out. And it's great. It's really good.
I was watching the fight at home, and, as you know, and checking out through Twitter and seeing the comments that came through. And a lot of people, myself included, seem to think that had the fight gone an extra couple of rounds, that we may have saw Hopi really step the pace up. Is that what you have? Yeah. Is that your assessment of it as well?
Yeah, 100%. As you see, I said, I kind of said it all the way through, and I said it in the interview afterwards. When the worst thing he could have done was trying to match Johnny's physicality in that early stage of the fight, and trying to match him punch like on the inside, and trying to rag him about and waste his energy and things like that. Just ride out the storm. Just ride it out, and then just pick, and then start turning the screw. And you saw in rounds 5 and 6 especially, then you started turning that screw. I'm building. I'm not interested in building a 6-round fighter. That's his first 6-rounder. But I'm not looking at building a 6-round fighter, an 8-round fighter, a 10-round fighter. I'm building a 12-round fighter. And yes, he might not have loads of stoppages on his record, and early days, especially while he's so young. And yes, he might not be one of these kids that are going to knock somebody out in the first few rounds. But when he starts, by the time he starts fighting 12-rounders, his management of rounds and understanding of those moments in the ring is going to be at such an advanced stage that he's going to know how to, he's going to know when to go, when not to go. He's going to know how to break people apart, wear people down, and then you'll start seeing stoppages later on in the fights.
So where next for Hopi? Obviously, you mentioned it's his third fight. We've seen him in Saudi Arabia. We've seen him in Eddie's back garden. I can't imagine where his next fight might be.
I don't know. We're up for Eddie's back garden again. We'll join that party again. I'm not. He's good to go. He hasn't got a bruise. He hasn't no damaged hands. He hasn't got a mark on his face. To come out of that kind of fight as well without a mark on his face, it shows, he's on his awareness of head positioning when somebody's, because when somebody's usually bouldering like that, orthodox against southpaw, you get a lot of head clashes. So there's always that danger as well. But his understanding of his head positioning and things like that enabled him not to have a mark on his face whatsoever. So he's good to go. So if anybody else has a dropout on any of the shows that are coming up, Open Price is good to go. But as for opponents wise, I'm not. As I said to Eddie, he ticked a massive box there, but it's his third fight. I don't want him rushed. He's a talent that if I can develop him how I want to develop, then he's going to be a hell of a fighter. He's going to be a really good fighter. He's got massive potential. More importantly, he's got the right attitude. You can have all the potential in the world, you can have all the talent in the world, but if you are missing certain elements in the personality side of things, then that will catch up on you and that will hold you back from fulfilling a full potential. Hope Price has got he's got the mentality to take him as far as his ability can take him. I'm excited for the future. I want to continue to have opponents that are going to come and try and beat him rather than just come and survive. I want to continue to have opponents that are going to cause him problems that he has to figure out in the fight. I'm not afraid of him losing a round or two on the way up. I'm not afraid of that. As long as he wins more rounds than he loses, obviously. But it's like those first couple of rounds. They were untidy, they were messy. A lot of young kids will start worrying about that. I can't get my rhythm. I can't. No, just bide your time. Just bide your time. Keep doing what you're doing, and it'll all sort of open up. And that's what he did. The big key for me is to continue the high class, high level sparring that he's getting and that he's been having. So he'll continue to do that, and we'll see what the future holds. But yeah, I'm looking. We tried certain opponents for this fight. We tried people like Ashley Lane and fighters like that for this fight, which is a big step up. But I'm quite happy with people like that. But obviously, I'm not saying we're looking at titles and stuff like that. No, it's just part of his development.
You have to let me know the next time you spar and Kid Galahad. I'll come up and watch. I'll leave my camera at home though.
It's been a great education for me. It's where it's very, very physical, and it's where Barry's. Brendan used to talk to us about how when Johnny first started sparring with Bomber Graham and Brian Anderson, how you saw the physicalities of it, and it was so hard for Johnny, and Johnny just kept on going, and he'd learned so much from sparring those guys that was a big part into the success of his career later on. And this is kind of like what it reminded me of. Being in the same gym as well. Dom having us in the gym and seeing how Hope is soaking up the experience of sparring with Barrett. And they'll tell you the differences in the first few spars to how the last few spars. Well, you can see that Hope is learning, and then more importantly, when he's not been sparring with Barry, he's sparring with somebody else. You see him doing certain things. This is what sparring is about. Sparring is not about taking your kid and wanting to be top dog in every sparring session. And if he's not, then being embarrassing. Oh, fucking hell! He didn't look great in that one, did he? Sparring is about learning. I don't give a shit. Whether. As long as the kid's not getting beat up and he's getting fucking bounced around the ring, we don't want to see that. But I'm not bothered about my fighters being uncomfortable in sparring and not looking $1 million in sparring. I'm being in because you wouldn't want it. If you've got a kid that's 2-0 that goes and spars with one of the best fighters in the world and he's just pissing it, he's not having it. Where do you find that fighter that's going to give him problems? How is he going to learn? You have to put them in positions where they're going to learn. And every time he spars with Kid Galahad, every time he spars with Jordan, he's learning. Every time he spars with Lee Wood, he's learning. I've had Yusuf Safarov, who's an unbeaten super bantamweight. was running. You put him in with people. Sparred with Raza Hamza, 15-year-old featherweight, who's actually bigger than Hope. So that gives a different problem because normally Hope's got the height and the reach. Also, he's sparring with somebody bigger. You think, okay, let's see out. Because I've always said to Hope, I don't want you to be good just because you're taller than everybody else. You got longer levers than everybody else. I need you to be good because you are good. And then when somebody gets past that, or if somebody's got longer arms than you, better reach than you, better timing than you, you can adapt to that. So it's all part of a package and an education. It's the same thing for Jordan. I'm not interested in having spars where every round's like brilliant. Just you're not having no problems. Great. I want to improve the fighters, and improvement comes from having problems, acknowledging the problems, and being able to solve the problems, and then add them to your arsenal. And that's what I'm getting, and that's the best thing about this job. I love that. I love it.
Okay, well, elsewhere on the cards, Anthony Fowler, your old charge, made his, it was his second fight under Shane McGregor, but it was his first real fight. Yeah. What did you make of his performance against Adam Harper?
I thought he looked very good. He looked so powerful, really powerful. I mean, he told me what he weighed when he got in the ring. You can see it was a massive difference. He looked so energized. He looked sharp with his feet. I thought he looked really, really good. I said it all along. I think that's a really, really good fit for him, and it's proving to be already. It's don't get me wrong. Listen, don't get me wrong. I tried to get a Harper for I think Fowler's fourth fight or something like that. So we already went down that avenue. The fight didn't happen. So that tells you actually the level of the opponent was. He was there to make Fowler look good. He was something that I wanted back then. But having said that, you don't forget about the opponent, forget about what he's doing. Look at what Fowler's doing and how he's adapting. And I think I can see loads of improvements, and it is another. Listen, it's always going to be exciting. It's always going to be exciting. But he hits so hard. It's so hard. Hats off to him. I think he's. I think he beats Cheeseman. I think he beats Eggington. Stick him in any of those fights. But I think he needs to fight them sort of people now. Fitzgerald, I don't believe Fitzgerald's going to happen again. I really don't. I just can't see it. I'd like it to, but I just can't see it. And I think there are other fights out there that are going to be great profile, great fights for the fans, entertaining to watch, and they're going to be great for the progression of Fowler's career. And they're Cheeseman and Eggington, and I think they're the fights for him.
Yeah, I spoke to Fowler yesterday, and he mentioned Cheeseman up next. I spoke to Cheeseman as well a couple of weeks back, and he said the same thing. So I think that's going to be the fight that certainly they want and they're looking to make. Final thing on all things fight camp, staying with Anthony Fowler versus Adam Harper. Now I know that you've been vocal about this in the past, and I'm just keen to know your opinion. A lot of people, myself included, felt that fight went on several rounds too long. Yeah. What was your thoughts on that, and how difficult is it as a cornerman or as a trainer to see your fighter going through that?
Listen, it's not nice digging out another coach or anything like that. It's not about digging them out, but we have opinions. Some people think that I do things wrong. It is how it is. That's the nature of the beast of what we're in. We're in a job where we're there. We're in the public eye. The bigger the fights, more exposure, the more eyes that are on you, the more you're analysed and more you're critiqued. For me, I was very, very uncomfortable watching that fight because it's not like Fowler's a pea shooter, right? He's landing bombs. He's landing hard, horrible, sickening shots. You can hear them. There's sickening shots. And they're landing flush. And Adam Harper is a very, very tough kid. He's a genuinely tough kid. He's hard as nails. And we knew that going in. But the thing is, Adam Harper's also, I think he's got 0 knockouts on his record. Right? He's got no chance of turning it around with one shot. You kind of... Are they hoping that Fowler's going to blow himself out. But if you look, when everything's going your way, you can keep that pace going as much as you want. That's your pace. You're controlling the pace. And Fowler's controlling the pace, and he's going and going and going. And Harper's not putting anything on him to take the pace away and take the energy away from it. He's not able to do that. Difference in levels. Fowler's not allowing him to. And so it's just getting a systematic beating. When he got dropped with that right hand in I think it was the fourth round, for me, you can stop the fight after that. It gets up and then he goes at ropes. He gets hammered on the rope. Bell goes. For me, you can stop the fight there. You can think, mate, this is only going one way. You've been hammered for the 4 rounds that have been completed so far. You can't outpunch him. Every time you throw the right hand, the way that you throw the right hand, it's actually short and Fowler can see it. So even your big right hand that you're hoping for isn't really going to do any damage on him. It's not, you're not landing enough body shots to take any of that out of him. It's all one-way traffic. For me, you can pull him out then. So okay, you don't pull him out then. That's down to your choice. Whatever, you give him a couple more rounds or whatever. But then when your man's coming back to the corner and you're saying, "Tell me how do you feel? How do you feel? How do you?" If you're having to keep saying that in a manner where it's because you're worried because you're seeing him taking the amount of damaging punches that he's taking, pull him out. You're not going to get a fighter, especially when there's no crowd noise, especially when you're aware that there's mics it's being publicised, mics going to be turned up for the corners and things like that because there's no crowd noises. You tell me a fighter that's going to turn around and say when especially someone like Adam Harper, who's just an hard bastard, right? He's just hard as nail. He is never going to say, when you said to him, "How do you feel?" "Shit, mate, pull me out." He's never going to say that. He's always going to say, if you give him that opportunity, he's always going to say, "Yeah, no, give me another round. Yeah, give me another round." So he says, "Give me another round." You go, "Okay, give me another round." But in that round, he has to turn the fight around. He has to turn the fight around. It's not a case of have another round once you get smashed up a little bit more, but you're not getting well, you haven't gone down that round, so you can have another round. Same thing's happening. So all you're taking is more punishment from an absolute beast. You can say what you want about Fowler. The kid punches like fuck, and it's sick. It's so sickening punches. And so then to come back to corner and have that same conversation, I didn't like that. I didn't like it. Once a coach thinks the kid's getting hammered here, and once he's thinking, I should pull him out, it must, because it's my so I pulled Jordan out against Inoko, right? I saw that that he had nothing in him, and whatever was happening, whenever he got touched down, he was going down, and I'm thinking he's not in. He can't, I can't keep just watching him get hit and get hurt, and you've got to think about it. Come back another day. It's the coach's responsibility. If I say to Jordan, "Shall I pull you out?" he says, "Tell me to fuck off." That's what fighters do. No, a fighter's not going to turn around and say, yeah, go on, pull me out. That's why the fighters, they're different to us. They're different to normal people sat around watching TV. We all have ideas about we should do this, we should do that. Why don't you do that? Why don't you throw that shot? Why don't that? It's completely different when you get in there. But the fighter that's getting a beating, he's still going to take that beating because that's what makes him a fighter. That's what makes him that kind of fighter. Adam Harper type of fighter that trades on grit, determination, toughness. Might not have the same skill level as you, but he's willing to push himself to try and out-grit you, try and out-tough you and outlast you. But when it's not happening, they need protecting. And that's when, for me, you have to say, "Listen, mate, you're done. You're done. Save it for another day. You're out of your depth. It's one of those things. You put up a great fight, but that's it." And for me, it was left far too long. And it's not even about, it's not even about getting knocked out. It's about the damage that the fighters are taking when it's just one-sided like that. It's just a systematic beating, and them kind of things aren't good for the sport and aren't good for the fighter's health.
Yeah, I agree. And just to touch on what you said at the start of that, I don't think anybody would look at that as you trying to dig out a trainer. I think it's a very fair and
No, it's
informed
just
opinion.
it's difficult. It's heartbreaking to fight a first trainer because he's thinking that he knows that Harper doesn't want to quit, and it's like this is his opportunity. He's been chasing it. It's well documented. He sent Eddie about 36 text messages and things like that. I understand that. So it's hard. It's a very, very hard decision. I've done it myself. It's a hard decision because you're thinking, shit, this is his opportunity. I had it with Daniel Thorpe against Kevin Mitchell. I think I pulled him out against Mitchell, and he was doing well. He was just making a mistake, and then Mitchell just started getting closer and closer and closer, and I could see what was going to come, and he wasn't going to win the fight, and I pulled him out, and it was like what everyone was like, what are you pulling him out for? What are you pulling him out for? Because I knew Mitchell was getting closer and closer with that right hand. It was going to end badly. Pull him out. He don't need that shit. Go on. I'll take the flak for it. That's my job. That's my job. You know, fighter can always then turn around and go and say to his mates and say to everybody, I didn't quit. I'd have gone all day. The coach pulled me out. Blame the coach. Blame the man in charge in the corner. You know, take that responsibility away from the fighter. And you know that's part of our job. That's part of our job. Take the shit.
Final word on Fight Camp. Main event delivered and then some. Terry Harper and Natasha Jonas. Slightly contentious draw. I mean, one or two people, well, it's probably more than one or two people thought Natasha Jonas deserved the nod. What did you make of the fight?
So watching it live, right? I thought it was brilliant. I know there's imagine it with the crowd, it would have been unbelievable. But with no crowd, it was brilliant. We were sat there. There was Eddie, myself, Hope, Fowler, and Chris Smith, and we were just like all in awe of the quality. It wasn't just it was a good scrap; it was quality. When they were at range, it was good quality boxing. When they got in the inside, Tasha Jonas on the inside was brilliant. A little digs to the body and everything like that. It was fantastic. I've not seen anything of her as a pro like that. You know, and that's why before the fight, I didn't think she was going to win the fight because I'd looked at her career, I'd looked at Terry's career, I thought, well, and plus her being 36 and what have you, I thought, well, she's not going to be able to do what she needs to do to win the fight. But during the fight, I thought she was brilliant. I thought Terry did some great work as well. After 8, I had it level. 9, I give to Tasha. And then live, round 10, I give to Terry. So I had it a draw. Live. But then I watched it back on telly last night. And I scored it the same, all the way up. After 8, I had it level. 9, I give it Tasha. But then 10, on TV, I preferred Tasha's bodywork and the punches that she put together on the inside. I thought were the better quality punches. I thought Terry, and this is why sat at ringside and the distance, it looked like Terry had out hustled during the last round. I thought because Tasha was giving ground away, and Terry looked like she was out hustling her, and so I give Terry the round live. But then when I watched it with the camera angles of the TV, and you saw the quality of the punches that Tasha landed in the last round, I actually gave the last round to Tasha on TV, watching it on TV. So then that switched it from live, I thought it was a draw, to watching it on TV, I thought Tasha won it. So that's how perspectives can change. So that's how I scored the fight. But when it's like that, this is what I'm saying. It's a close fight. It's a very, very close fight. There's a couple around in there where you look at it and you think, it's which you preferred. You prefer the hustle and hustle and bustle of one person's work, or the cleaner, crisper shots of the other. You know, and like I said, from live, I didn't quite. The opening sequence of shots that Tasha landed, I thought great, but then it just looked like she was outworked for the rest of the round. But on telly, it wasn't like that. I had Tasha winning it on TV. But it's just a great fight. It's a close fight. It's not a robbery. You know, people talking about robberies and stuff like that. And I think even in Gallagher's corner, they said that they got it level after 8. You So it was down to the last 2 rounds. It's not a robbery because it's what you see in those last 2 rounds. I just thought it was a great fight. It was close, and I can't wait to see it again. I think, and one thing I will say is that the quality of the fight and the experience of that fight. Terry Harper's 23 years old, and she's still a novice. How many fights has she had? She's a novice, and she's. The problem is when you win these titles early, and you get the opportunity comes, you want to rush into a title fight. You get that title fight, you're stuck at that level, and then you're learning on the job. So she's learning on the job, So she's going to improve off of that fight, so she can become a better fighter for it going on. And she's 3 years old. She's only become a better fighter. And Tasha at 36, for me to pull out the performance of her career, the way that she delivered the shots, the way that she was calm on the inside, everything about her, that was a surprise for me. And at 36 to deliver the performance of her career, that will now give her more confidence going on. Maybe if she'd have got beat and beat, not in good fashion, but beat clearly, maybe that would have been her last fight. But now she'll feel rejuvenated, and she'll feel like a young gun coming through again. She'll feel that there's more that she can now improve on and become as a better fighter. So it makes the rematch even better. I think the rematch has got to happen. It's 100% got to happen because it is a fight that you can. Like I said, it was a great fight. It was just a high quality fight.